And now for the grand finale, the speaker you've all been waiting for. I can see that it's a standing room only kind of session. So I just want to say that it is a great, great pleasure for me to, I don't have to introduce Deepika, but I'd like to start by saying you're going to listen to a speaker whom we consider Namma Deepika. As you all know, Deepika has done not only our Bangaloreans proud, Bengaluru proud, but the whole country proud. I mean, she is an outstanding artist. She is an outstanding actor. She has gone places. She is someone who is globally renowned. She is considered to be one of the most gorgeous actresses in the world. And I think we all agree with that. And I think this finale this evening is really about celebrating someone who has started from nothing and someone who's built herself up to such a leadership role, which is what it's all about. It's about believing in yourself, it's about excelling, it's about driving yourself to excellence. And really, Deepika is all of these. I actually met Deepika when she was a teenager, and I've seen her grow into this leadership role over the years. Of course, I've known her parents very well. And, she is someone who's very grounded, someone who cares about society, someone who believes in doing good, and someone who started a foundation of her own because she wanted to, make a difference to what she believed in. It was to really focus on creating a foundation, the Live, Love, Life Foundation, which was really about helping people who suffer from depression, making a difference to the world of the mentally challenged or mental illnesses. And I think this is a very, very important side of Deepika, which I think I've grown to really admire and respect. Because while she has this glamorous role in a glamorous world, she is so grounded, she's so caring, and she's really someone who really wants to make a difference in everything she does. So before we basically welcome Deepika on stage, let's have a look at the audiovisual, and then of course, we can all wait for this wonderful, wonderful grand finale. Thank you.
Can we have the AV, please?
Deepika Padukone. Deepika Padukone is a name which needs no introduction. She is one of the finest actresses of her generation and has been conferred 3 Filmfare Awards so far. She is all set to make her debut in Hollywood in 2017. She was a national-level badminton player as a teenager and is the daughter of badminton superstar Prakash Padukone. Alongside her acting career, Deepika participates in stage shows, has designed her own line of clothing for women, has written columns for an Indian newspaper, and is a prominent celebrity endorser for brands. She has been vocal about sensitive issues such as feminism and depression. She has founded the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation, which creates awareness on mental health issues in India. She is a youth icon and has received several awards including the CNN IBN Indian of the Year and the recent Woman of the Year award given to her at the Esquire International Awards 2016.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Deepika Padukone.
आँखों में तेरी अजब सी अदाएं हैं, आँखों में तेरी अजब सी अदाएं हैं, दिल को बना दे जो पतंग सांसें ये तेरी वो हवाएं हैं, आँखों में तेरी अजब सी अदाएं हैं, हो आँखों में तेरी अजब सी अदाएं हैं, दिल को बना दे जो पतंग
Hi, Deepika.
सांसें ये तेरी
Our audience has been waiting eagerly for this moment all day.
too.
Wonderful. And if you could hear Kiran talk about you backstage, I'm not sure. If you had heard that, that's I think the most glowing introduction anybody could ever get. Not that you need an introduction like Kiran said.
I usually avoid listening to introductions because they end up being glorious. And I'd rather just put my head down and focus on what I have to do.
That's wonderful. That's like Kiran said, a well-grounded person. But what Kiran told you about was more emotional. So I think you should hear a clipping of that sometime later. So ladies and gentlemen, Deepika here for you. And may I now request Shekhar Gupta to come and have a chat with her.
Did something happen this afternoon I'm not aware of?
They've been listening to very interesting, serious people since the morning. And I think they are so tired, they all wanted to go home, so we forced them to stay on. He said, just endure one more session.
We always knew journalists spin stories.
Absolutely. And you don't know which way it will spin also. No, it's a bit like Shane Bourne. So, Deepika, we know what keeps you busy with films. Many people here will be able to write PhDs on your movies. So let me not challenge myself with that knowledge. So what is it that occupies your mind and your attention besides the role that you're currently performing in the film?
I think a lot of things. I think there's a lot that goes on in my head. I mean, there's, of course, like you said, there's the most obvious one being the movie and the character, and that's something that's a constant. But there's the more complex stuff that's also work-related, like, okay, what are the multiple things that I have to do in the day? What are the things that I need to do in the next couple of days what is my sister doing? Or what is my mother thinking? Or, I mean, there's so much to think about, you know. And a lot of my focus and energy also goes into how I'm feeling every day.
So, I was actually asking you a loaded question to turn you in the direction of the work you're doing beyond your personal life and professional life, which is the foundation that you set up, and how bravely you came out and spoke about something that most Indians don't. So tell us a bit more about that. What inspired you to go in that direction, and what have you achieved so far?
I think what inspired me was my own experience and my own journey, and I think it was such a huge experience in my life, and something that I just, you know, I felt from my gut that it was an experience I needed to share with people and with the world and with people who cared about me. But more importantly, to let people know that there is hope, because I think that with my own experience, I realized that there are days where you feel completely down and out, and then you have, you know, there is hope, and that there is the road to recovery. So to give people who might be in the same vulnerable position as me, to give them hope and let them know that there is hope and that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
And let them also see an example of somebody who dealt with this and came out all right, and now without a hindrance in her life.
Yes, that, and also I think the reason why my foundation is called the Live, Love, Laugh Foundation is also because to let people know that it's also preventable. So there's a lot of people like me who experience it, and then we have to make lifestyle changes and, you know, work on ourselves to have a regular everyday. But for also people who have not yet experienced it to know that it is something we as human beings are susceptible to, and that there are ways to prevent anxiety and depression.
See, one thing we talked about in the previous session, this is a good afternoon for me, because the previous session had an all-female panel, and now We have you here. So in a sort of an environment where men have all the power, it's great to have power women. Have you seen gender barrier in Bollywood, or have you seen it becoming higher in your career, or have you seen it becoming lower? Do women have more power than they had when you first came in, or less?
I've never thought as power belonging to a man or woman.
No, power means everything from how much you get paid to the extent to which you can carry a film on the opening weekend.
Again, to your point, it's not something that I've thought about as man or woman. It's something that I've always thought about what I bring to the table. So I don't think of myself as, oh, I'm a woman and hence I can do X, Y, and Z things. I think about it as me as an individual, as a human being, and what I can offer, or what I think I deserve, or what I think I can bring to the table. And I think maybe that has to do with the fact that that's the kind of environment I've grown up in. I've never been made to feel like I'm a woman trying to find a place in a man's world. That's the way my family's brought us up. In our family, man and woman, girl and boy, sister and brother, everyone's equal. And I think the only way that one should move ahead in life is because of how talented you are, or what you bring.
No, but that is should. What is it that really happens in your profession?
I've never had any experience of, other than the fact that maybe in the kind of roles that I've been offered, I think everything has been pretty fair in the way that I had my debut, or the kind of films that I've been offered, or the kind of money that I'm being paid today.
That's a big statement to make, because a lot of the others complain that women are paid much less just instinctively. So you are saying you are not being paid at a fair level and getting the same treatment as the male stars.
I am today.
You are
I can't speak for other people.
But that's also because she is the only female star today, I can say so, as a film expert. Like everybody in India is a cricket expert, everybody in India is a film expert. She is the only female star who can carry a film on her own shoulders. And if you've seen her last 3 or so, I think you've done it. So I think it's just a case of the market being fair.
I think so. Did I think, was there a time where I felt that things were not equal? Yes, I did. But do I think, for me personally, are things equal today? Yes. And yeah, I think.
So give us an example of two of when things were not equal, when you felt that way.
Everything from the way people on set acknowledge you, to the way the size of your vanity van, to everything. The remuneration, the size of role that you're being offered, or the importance of your role in the film. All of these things were very, very different few years ago, and all of these things for me are very different today.
So everybody wants to know this. Which is the role for which you took the most care preparing? Which one was the hardest challenge of all, of the ones you played? Everybody's seen everything.
I think they're all difficult in different ways. Some films are just more emotionally challenging. Some are more physically challenging. I wouldn't say one is easier or more difficult than the other. Eventually, you get totally consumed by the films that you do or the characters that you play, and you kind of get into that headspace and that zone. And every film has a different requirement. If I do a XXX, it's a physical demand. If I do a Bajirao Mastani or a Padmavati, it's a mental and emotional demand from me. So every film has its own challenges. But overall, I think there is a perception that the film industry is all glamorous and it's easy and it's, I think a lot of people feel like people in the industry are very privileged. But that's not true. There's a lot of hard work and commitment and dedication and sacrifices that go into being who we are or achieving what we do. It's very easy to, buy a ticket and sit in a theater and watch a movie for 2.5 hours and be entertained or not, and that's totally fair. But there's a lot of hard work that goes into making that possible, which I think only people who are related in the film industry in some way will know the full extent of that.
That's why all of these who are not related to film industry want some stories from you on how you prepared for a specific role. Say, talk about Baji Rao, talk about Piku, talk about anything you feel like.
Well,
Talk about that Ram Leela, which was, in fact, I remember my son called me at that point and said, Papa, have you seen Deepika? She looks gorgeous, gorgeous. And my son teaches math.
a subject I had no interest in and still do not. Honestly, I find it very boring when actors talk about their process. It's my job, it's what I do, and it's,
That's because you are an actor. All these people are not actors.
yeah, but that's,
It's not boring for them.
I don't know. I personally find it boring. And I'm not that person. I'm not that person to sit and talk about how I got into a character and how I created, X.
You do it for the audience. You endure plenty of boredom for your audiences.
I never have, so I will not. Okay, for example, I've shot the whole of last night and then took a flight this morning, came here, slept for a couple of hours, and then we're here, and then I go back and then I film the whole of tonight. So, I mean, that's the kind of life, we live or we choose to live. So it's very, very demanding. Or, let me put it this way. For me, one of the biggest sacrifices for me was to move out of home, Bangalore being my hometown, to move away from my family at the age of 18 when, you've just about, you're growing up, and very, very important years in one's life. I moved away from home and I've lived, without my family for the last, 15 years. So, that's a huge sacrifice. So I'd rather tell the audience those things than talk about, this is what I did for this character, and then this is how Mastani was born. Doesn't make sense.
So once you are done with something, you are done with it. Once you are done with the role, you are done with it. You don't think about it too much. You don't reflect.
I don't think you can get rid of a character completely. I think every character that we play leaves. You give to every character that I play, I give a little bit of myself to every character that I play, but every character that I've played also leaves a mark on me.
So which character has left the deepest mark on you?
So many. Piku, Mastani, Leela, Veronica, Naina Talwar, Shanti Priya. There's so many.
So what is the mark that Piku leave?
A mark when you sit on the pot for too long. No. I think it just made me realize the amazing writing talent we have in this country. And I think a film like Piku, it made me realize much later that a film like Piku being made and then doing the kind of numbers that it did or receiving the kind of love that it did gives legs to a lot of more writers to go out there and write these kind of stories that not only have a social message but are also entertaining at the same time. It just gives room for a lot more writers to...
But I can also say that it was a film, a rare film, which was carried primarily by its female lead, although the most successful and popular male lead in India for 45 years was there.
Thank you.
Isn't that true? Were you awed a little bit working with him? Mr. Bachchan?
No, I've worked with him in one film before, and no, when you're on set, you're in character, and you're not really thinking about who you're working opposite. You're connecting with the character that's walked onto set. So for me, he was Baba. For me, he was the perfect father figure, and I think we had that chemistry. We had that chemistry of father and daughter. Even when the cameras were not rolling, he would pull my leg, I would tease him. We would eat together. We would, joke together. And so much of what comes out of a film eventually is the energy that the actors share and the experience that you've had. So all of that is important to, I think, eventually make a good film or a great film or a memorable film.
So is there a lot of political correctness in cinema? Everybody says good things about everybody else all the time, at least on record.
So everyone says good things.
Good things about everyone else on the record.
And
Is
you
it
don't-
such a perfect world?
I'd like to believe so, yeah. Because I'm not cynical. I like to think that everything is perfect and everyone is good, and maybe it's experiences in my life that have made me like that. But I choose not to doubt, and I choose not to second guess, and I choose to believe everyone and have my own experiences with people. And yeah.
The rest when she's on Karan Johar's show, because I can't even take the conversation in those directions. So I'm much too old to do that. So tell us about your life, in the sense that if you were not a film actor, film star, or if you had the choice of being a film star or a sports star,
Okay.
what would you have preferred? A sports star of similar sort of stature? Tendulkar? You'd have to be 6 inches shorter, but
That doesn't make him any less of a legend, but I don't know. I think either way you give joy to people. Whether it's cinema, you give joy to people in a different way, and if you're representing the country and you're that kind of a legend, you give joy to people anyway. So for me, either way. But I think at this stage, I am an actor because that's what I was most passionate about. If I was equally passionate about sports, which I am, I probably would have been doing that. But I followed my heart, and I don't think I don't see myself doing anything else. But if maybe acting didn't work out for me, I would have. I'd probably like to be a secretary.
secretary. Secretary in an
Or
office?
work in an office. I'd like to work.
or in the government of India. You'd have to be 59 to be a secretary in the government of India. That's how old I am.
Well, anything that requires, filing, xeroxing, scanning, printing.
So maybe that's the next character waiting for you in a film.
Cleaning, housekeeping, all of that.
Fantastic. That's a great ambition to have, because she'll have to work very hard now to qualify for any of those.
Kiran, are you looking for a new assistant?
When we spoke 4 years ago on Walk the Talk, you then said, I just follow my heart. Has anything changed since then?
No,
No.
nothing's changed.
Has anything happened to persuade you, ek baar soch lo, is this the right approach?
No.
No. Law of averages has worked for you.
It's what my father taught me, and that will never change. Always follow your heart and be honest about everything that you do.
So you are now sort of spanning two sides of the globe. You are doing work in America and in India. These two are very different kind of film industries. But the interesting thing in America is that film people are very political. They speak out a lot. They take open positions. Somebody says, if Trump gets elected, I will leave America. They don't, but they say so. People support political causes. People take positions. Why are we still afraid of doing that in India?
Okay, the question started somewhere and went somewhere else. So, are we looking at the simpler part of the question or the more sensational
No,
part
I think
of the question?
no. There's no sensational part. It's a real question.
I can see you trying very hard. It's fine.
It's a real
I've meditated this morning, so that's not going to work.
It's a real question.
To the first part of your question, the industries are completely the same. From a working point of view, that's a question I'm being asked a lot, is what is the difference between working in India and working abroad? And the experience was exactly the same. And for me, that makes me feel so proud and so happy of the fact, and it makes me realize how far the Indian film industry has come in the last 100 and more years, to see how much we've grown and evolved, not just in every aspect actually, technically, writing, direction, in every department. The fact that when I went into a completely new world, to me it felt exactly the same. Other than the fact that I was just seeing new faces, the process was exactly the same, and for me that says a lot about the Indian film industry. As far as speaking out is concerned, I don't know.
No, I'll give you an example. See what happened to Amir when he spoke out on some issues. There were boycott calls, couple of brands dropped him, he was targeted on social media, and that's had the effect of shutting everybody up. So would you rather that film industry show more solidarity for its own freedom of speech? And because all of you are role models, you have to speak, you have to stand for something.
Well,
And I'm sure you have points of view.
yeah, well, I think again that I don't think we can generalize it as a film industry thing. I think it boils down to an individual, which individual chooses to speak or chooses not to speak. The only thing I would say is that the one thing I don't understand is why every time the film industry is the benchmark for everything. So if anything big happens in our country, suddenly the focus is on what did X actor say or what did X actor not say. So and so commented on something and so didn't comment on something. There's so much more, and there's so many other more influential people. I don't deny that film actors are very, very influential people, but we cannot be held responsible for everything that happens in this country.
No, that is not the point. Let me rephrase my question. My question is that, first of all, why film people? Because you are big role models.
Absolutely.
You are big stars.
But so are sportsmen. And so are businessmen.
The one sitting here, there are many powerful women in this hall, but this one has the highest Twitter following for any woman in India, right? If that's an indication of anything. So you have power, you have reach. When important things happen, I'm not saying that it's your responsibility that something goes wrong or something doesn't go wrong. But why should you not be able to speak your mind? I am on your side, I'm not on the other side. I'm saying, why should film people not be able to speak your mind? Is there a sense of fear among film people that if I say something, bina baat controversy ho jayegi, chodo pare? That's not true in Hollywood. People speak their minds.
Like I don't think it's a Hollywood and Bollywood issue. I think it's the way we are as people, and people, world over react differently to different situations. And like I said, every time we wait for an actor to make a comment, and if the comment echoes the voice of the millions of people, he's applauded and put on a pedestal. And God forbid, if your opinion if you have a different opinion, you're trolled and things are said. So what should your stand be then? Should I say something or should I not say something?
Now you're getting there. Should you worry about being trolled?
Look, for me, I will comment on something when I know I can make a difference. I speak about depression because I know that is going to make a difference. If I comment on a political situation, is that going to change the political situation? I don't think so. So I personally will not comment on that, and B, I do not have enough knowledge about that. So it'll be different for Amir, or it'll be different for Shah Rukh, or it'll be different for Salman. So which is why I say it's you're asking me one question, but there's so many things that are attached to it. businessmen should comment. So there's so many influential people in the world. Everyone should comment on.
Businessmen in India only give every finance minister 9 out of 10 for every budget. Then on the sidelines they say, "Maar diya, ye bhi dal diya, retrospective bhi dal diya, wo bhi dal diya, kya kar diya." But you put them in front of the camera, 9 out of 10. In fact, some of them, if they could, would give 11 out of 10. So don't trust business people.
Like I said, math and business is not my forte.
But I'm carrying forward the 2 points you made. First of all, where you can make a difference, yes, because you spoke about mental health issues. It's given courage to other people to talk about other issues. For example, Sonam Kapoor, I think, spoke about having been molested when she was much younger. I think 3 days back she did. So people are opening up. Similarly, on talk shows, elsewhere, people are talking a lot more openly about relationships. People are talking about sex, on the roasts, and the only reason I haven't yet featured AIB people on Walk the Talk, I think they are great fun, is that I am not gathering the courage to say the full name of their organization. And I know that if I said AIB, they'll force me to say the full
I
form.
dare you to say it now.
I will not say it. I said that's the reason I'm not doing it there. But the fact is that people are talking.
It's just these people. Come
I
on.
know, absolutely. It's me.
You can do it.
They have no problem. I have a problem. But
But they want to know. They want to hear you.
they all have Google. They all have Google. Google. They all have Google. But I'm coming to something. So when things are opening up, I'm pointing out something positive. People no longer say we are good friends. People no longer say everything else is bakwas, etc., etc. Yet, and it's not just politics in terms of should there be should Indus Water Treaty be abrogated or not between India and Pakistan. It's issues that concern your business. A film has been shot which had some Pakistani characters. Then somebody rises up and says you shouldn't have done it, and because you've done it, you pay this much fine. It's extortion. Shouldn't you people speak out, or should you just get scared and go away कि मेरे साथ नहीं हो रहा है, शुक्र है, आगे से नहीं करूँगा? Adil Mushkil, right? The producer had to
This
go.
is like old news.
No, there's a new news also. Shah Rukh has just gone to Raj Thackeray and said he will not let his a Pakistani girl who has some role in the film to come and promote the film. I'm saying that these are issues political issues that concern film industry. If everybody said we will not take pressure, then there will be no pressure. But why do you hang out one person to dry?
That was exactly my point. That have we stopped business with Pakistan?
We haven't.
That's my point. So the film industry becomes the scapegoat for everything that happens in this
Which it
country.
should not be. It should not be targeted like this.
Either we do it collectively, together, and everyone, but I think it's unfair to hold the film industry responsible.
Right.
This is exactly what I was saying, that you cannot hold the film industry and actors responsible for everything that goes on in this country. Either we do it collectively or then we don't.
So this is an unfair targeting.
Oh, absolutely.
Because government, India trades with Pakistan. India plays Pakistan in sports and international.
Were we that boring? That they're like,
No.
done.
I think they all want to come get in the conversation. But India has diplomatic relations.
Yes.
India plays every sport in international tournaments with Pakistan. India doesn't abandon a game. So would you say the targeting of film industry is unfair? Okay.
Yes, exactly like I said. Either we do it collectively.
That's a brave Bangalore girl, because not many people say मेरे से बात ही मत करो. Don't talk to me about this. So I think on that note we can go to the audience. I should not be stealing your time.
Thank you. So, Deepika, to answer your question, you are not boring. It's just that Shekhar's time is up. It's our time now.
They were very patient to have suffered me so far.
So we're going to let Shekhar still read those questions.
He's gonna
Okay,
read
that's
those.
because he's there.
I can read them as well, but
Oh, wonderful. So the question will be on your screen there, which is,
Why don't you read? They'll be much happier to hear it in your voice.
I think you should answer the question. Shekhar, tell me, what is needed to disrupt Indian movie industry to make movies that can win prestigious global awards like the Oscars?
that's wonderful.
Want me to answer that? I will answer that. I think the first thing we must do is to create one set of Indian awards that are fair like the Oscars. I ran Screen Awards for more than 10 years, and we left it purely to the jury, and every year at Screen Awards time, I hated, my self-esteem was very low because people would not turn up. People say, unless you give me an award, I will not come in. Someone else, one of your contemporaries, one of your peers, I can't name her, she was performing that year but didn't have an award. She broke down, so I was taken to her vanity van to reason with her, and she was crying so heavily that her makeup had all gone off. And she kept on saying, but they always call me but never give you an award. And we had to say, but ma'am, you signed up a contract to perform for which you've been paid. And we had to then conjure up some kind of an award, a Popular Choice Award or Entertainer of the Year Award. So unless you have a proper film
1 second.
award
But
in
you
India,
did.
Huh?
But you did.
I said, no, but I'll tell you
You
what we
did come up with
We
that
did, we
award.
Did. No, but that's
And
the
you
point
did
I'm making.
give her that award.
No, that's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making, that in India, and we endured many boycotts. We endured a full boycott by, what was that film that, Javed Akhtar's
Come on,
son,
we can
what's
do
his
this.
name?
We can do this.
What was the film in Spain?
Pyar.
No,
Kya? To.
no. Full film in
कुछ कुछ होता है.
No. Some other film in Spain. Which got
जिंदगी
a-
मिलेगी ना दोबारा.
Which one?
दिल चाहता है.
No, Farhan Akhtar's film.
जिंदगी मिलेगी ना दोबारा.
Ah, that's the one.
That's the one. That's
That Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. It got a whole bunch of awards, but did not get the best film award. And the entire film crew boycotted that screen award. The entire crew. So in fact, even when I called Farhan personally, he came in a t-shirt and he said, but I will not go on the stage because you did not give us the best film award. But we did not give it to them, by which time I said, I will not do it. But the fact is that there isn't, we went to some lengths. We even created 2 different trophies. That Screen Real Jury Award is the proper trophy. Faltu Awards are a Faltu trophy, right? Which has now been changed back. So I'm saying that you cannot have Indian films winning Oscars unless you have genuine awards in India, at which point I will read the next question and she'll answer it.
But Shekhar, do you realize that the question was meant for her and you just spent 3 minutes answering it? Wow, Deepika. Okay, the next question, Deepika, for you. You can pass it on to him.
It says how different is working with in Bollywood than Hollywood. I think she answered that.
Yeah.
If you need to choose one, then which one you will?
Let her choose, guys.
home is home.
Yay!
Don't worry, you're not about to lose her to Hollywood. Next one.
Would you like to talk some more about why would you, I mean, how different would Hollywood be from Bollywood and what do you expect?
No. They don't want me to answer that. They're like, next question. They want to
Okay.
go, they want to eat, they want to drink,
Okay.
they want to go home.
Then you have one of the serious questions. In fact, this is the highest voted question.
How to acknowledge a plateau or depression and not live in denial, even if we are performing or we think we are? That's a profound question.
How do you acknowledge?
How do we acknowledge a plateau or a
accept.
depression and not live in denial? Look, you may be,
Even if we are performing?
in the sense that if work is going
Like,
on.
work's going on.
Because we are professionals. I mean, it applies to you because your work never stopped.
With my very limited knowledge, I think the 2 words are completely different. I think feeling a plateau and feeling depression are two completely different feelings. Feeling sad and feeling depressed are again two completely different feelings.
And that's the important part, because people should not start mistaking, particularly quack doctors, should not start mistaking melancholy or sadness for depression.
Yeah. So again, I'm not a doctor, but I wouldn't think that feeling a plateau of emotion or feeling stuck is the same as feeling depressed. Yes, I mean 1 in 5 Indians, as far as the last data is concerned, experiences depression once in their lifetime. And I think that a lot of people just live with it every day. There'll be a lot of us in this room right now who are experiencing it or have lived with it. People live with it for years. But I think it's a feeling that you need to address. And how do you continue working? I couldn't.
Basically, I think what it means is, how do you keep the
You
your
cannot.
inclination is to keep the pretense that everything is okay.
You cannot. You cannot. It will catch up with you at some point. So I think the best is to be honest with your feelings, with yourself. I think if you want to help yourself and if you want to recover, the first thing you need to do is to be honest with yourself about your own feelings.
And that's what you're trying to also propagate through your trust,
Yes.
your foundation.
See, it begins with your own feelings. You need to tell yourself that something is wrong with you. If you keep blocking that own voice that's talking to you, you're not going to be, no one else is going to see that. And then, of course, reaching out. So whether it's a friend or your parents or your, a doctor, or just seeking help, just talking about it. When my mother noticed it and I spoke to her about it, I instantly felt better because I felt like I wasn't in it alone. I already felt like I had that support system. So having that support system is also very important.
Thank you.
Next one.
Next question for you.
What does success mean to you? That's a tough one.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what success means to me, but I think for me, to be truly successful is to be at peace with myself and to be happy with every day. I think depression has taught me that. Depression has taught me how fragile my life is or how fragile our lives are, and it's made me value people and emotions and feelings and so for me, it's not the material things, it's not the numbers, it's not, because there's always more. You can be number one and then you'll still want to keep going at that, or, you can be, you can have X amount of money and there's no end to that. So as far as material things are concerned, I think there's no end to it. You'll just, people want more and more and more, and that's human nature. But to be truly at peace with yourself and to be, that is success for me.
Thank you. So we'll take the last 2 questions after this.
Oh, okay, no worries. Guys, pump in your questions. Next.
What are the future plans of Live, Love, Laugh Foundation? Who are the mental health experts involved currently and will be in future?
So it's been about a year since we launched the foundation, and we launched our school program and our general practitioners program, where we sensitized school kids and teachers and parents and general physicians on mental health and how to identify the symptoms. And the other big thing that we did this year was to launch our India's first ever nationwide media campaign on mental health awareness. So that's what we did for this year. And next year, we plan to take this program to all the corporates and continue with our school and general practitioners program, because that's something that needs a lot of work, much more than we thought. And simultaneously, we tie up with different NGO partners, and we deliver our programs on sensitizing the rural areas as well. But small baby steps,
Because
and we have a long way to
there's
go.
a big shortage of mental health professionals in India.
Yes.
Very big shortage. I
Yes.
think it's the largest shortage for all specialities.
Yes, I don't have the numbers with me offhand, but for the kind of population that we have, we definitely don't have enough number of qualified mental health professionals.
And among GPs, there is a fair bit of misuse of psychiatric drugs because they don't understand.
Yes, I believe that a lot of them are supposed to still refer you to, to believe that it's a physical symptom and not a physical, not a mental illness. So there's a lot of this that's going on, a lot of it that's come to us as a shock, and a lot we're learning along the way. But I think it's interesting to see how the conversation around mental health in the last 1 or 2 years has really
Transformed. Yes,
transformed. It's
absolutely.
really changed, and it's nice
for
to
that
see
you
a
have to
lot
give
more.
her credit, because it's not just the fact that she has contributed to stardom, it's also the courage that she has shown. Because most people in our country, or anyway, would like to say, I'm the happiest of all.
The next question
one.
is a little more closer home, and I think you can read it here.
Sure.
What are your memories of?
Growing up in Malleshwaram,
That's
Write a Bangalore question.
how many hours does it take to drive to Malleshwaram from here, now?
30 minutes.
30 minutes, not too bad. So tell us your memories.
Now, because that Hebbal flyover, that area has
Yes.
a lot of traffic. For me, my fondest memory would be my grandfather's house. That's where my father grew up, and that's where my grandparents live. And so that for me is the fondest memory. Going there on the weekends, playing with the kids in the neighborhood, going to CTR for the best benne masala dosas in the world. Going to Canara Union and playing badminton. For me, all of that's my memory of Bangalore. Forget Malleshwaram. That's my memory of Bangalore.
So when was the last you visited CTR?
About a month ago.
All right.
Not bad.
His name had changed to Sri Sagar.
Huh?
To Sri Sagar. Yeah.
For me, it's still CTR.
CTR.
I'm going to change it.
Any more questions?
yes, there are plenty.
I think let's take one more and then.
Okay.
How do we think altogether from Indian film industry can make a difference in lives of underprivileged people?
The film community together can make a difference to the lives of underprivileged, like you are doing on your own with your initiative or foundation. Can the community at large, film community at large, do it together?
None of you guys has any question about movies. I was
This is
leaving it to all of you.
This is the serious audience.
Yeah.
Guys, somebody wants to ask a question
Okay.
through the app, please.
No, she said tell us about Padmavati. What do you want to know about Padmavati? The role. Okay, now then we'll close after that.
Google it. It is one of my most challenging parts. Again, don't ask me why and how I'm prepping for it. But so inspiring, the story, set in, 12th century and 13th century, and just her spirit. I think her soul and her spirit is something that we'll all take away from that movie.
Shekhar, there's a last question. This is from a young one, so if you permit me, I'll
Sure,
let
sure,
him ask
sure.
this. So Deepika, this question is from a young one. What would be your advice to young girls who look up to you as an icon and role model?
I think what my parents always say to me, which is follow your heart. There's no other way of being, follow your heart. And tough to do at a young age, but do whatever you want to do, Someone will want to be a doctor, someone will want to be an engineer, but someone will want to be a painter. And so just follow your heart and do whatever you want to do, and be a good human being. Whatever you do,
That's important.
be a good human being.
I think that's a good note to conclude this on. This can go on, but she's got stuff to do. Deepika, thank you so much. You've been
Thank
so
you.
patient.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Shekhar.
Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll message you at some.
Yes, thank you. So I'm done.
Yes, no, you please be for a few moments.